Since March 2020, we have seen the real estate market shift from being in a buyer's market to a seller's market. And therefore, we have seen competition get fierce in real estate. As a matter of fact, every seller has now seen more exactly 2 to about 7 offers on average come through for the price of their home to be purchased. A matter of fact, a lot of these homes have been scooped up in cash, or a mass majority of them have been in cash offers. And some have not even seen the home appraised at the level that it should, and have seen that filled by cash as well. Matter of fact, that leads me to the term of the day, appraisal gap. And in this video, I'm going to explain to you directly what an appraisal gap is, how this can be in your best benefit when it comes to purchasing your new home, how this can make your offer even more competitive in this type of tight real estate market, and also how this can actually save you thousands of dollars in certain cases, and how you can benefit for the bang of the buck of the dollars in the savings that you have. So what we're going to do in this video, we're going to use real world scenarios. We're going to get into exactly how that actually plays out, why this appraisal gap is so prevalent, and how you can actually benefit from this, and some of the criteria that you can use this to help you make a decision when it comes to purchasing your new home. Let's jump directly into it. So let's start with what an appraisal gap actually is. Let's talk about it. So let's say that you're looking at a listing that actually has a price offer of $400,000 at the starting listing price. Okay. So you go in, and maybe you are the only competitor in the market for this home, where you actually get to make a purchase offer of $400,000, and it's actually agreed to. Now, here's where the drama comes in. Your lender, now that you have sent that purchase offer in to your lender, is now going to send an appraiser out to that home that you're looking to purchase. And actually, they're going to do their walkthrough, look at what's going on with the square footage, the floor plan, basically the essentials of the home, and then going to take comparisons of other homes, usually a reference that's comps in the last 6 months in that same neighborhood, usually about a 1 to 2 mile radius, to kind of see what is the home sales comparing to versus your home that you're looking to purchase now. Well, let's say that appraiser actually comes back with a value of $390,000. That leaves you with a difference between your appraised price and your purchase price of over $10,000, folks. Okay, that lines up to what that is being termed an appraisal gap. Now, here's the caveat to that, only that appraisal gap. Your lender will only guarantee loans up to the appraised amount, meaning you're only going to be able to get $390,000 loaned to you for the purchase of this home. And now you are dealing with details that you have to figure out how to close that gap on that $400,000 offer price that was agreed upon between you and the seller. So let's walk through some of these things, right? What are your options? Well, your first option is going to be completely to walk away from the deal, because you now have found a home that you put an offer in and it was not going to appraise to that value, and thus you can actually turn and walk away from this home. Now, your other alternative is you can renegotiate with the seller. You can actually go back to the table and talk to the seller and see if they will be willing to come down to the price of $390,000 to actually bridge that gap. Now, in the hot sellers market where competition is fierce, more than likely there's another competitor out there that's sitting on the sidelines that the seller could actually turn to and actually make a same offer to, and they may be willing to accept the difference between that $10,000 of $400,000 to $390,000 that you are actually looking to pick up. Now, you can also go back to your lender and say that you're requesting a review of the appraisal if you found inaccuracies. This is important as well too. Maybe the appraiser got it wrong. Maybe you find that some of the details that the appraiser put into the report does not fit the criteria of the home that you're trying to purchase. Now, this is a long abated game, and maybe the seller would not even want to wait this long as you go through the process of trying to get a new appraisal. And that can be quite difficult to pull off as well. Now, your fourth option, in my opinion, may be your best option, and it's never financial advice on this channel. This is just some things to take in consideration when you're looking to purchase your home, especially in the aggressive sellers market that we're actually entrenched in right now. And we may be starting to see sellers market may shift back to a neutral market, or maybe even shift in favor of the buyer later on this year. But right now, we're still seeing in a lot of markets seller market activity happening, and that's going to be able to pay the difference in cash between the appraised value and the amount of the offer that you actually put on paper. Now, let's break this down a bit here, okay? We talked about that $400,000, and we talked about the appraised value here of $390. Well, Craig, why would I actually want to actually put down another $10,000 to close that value of their home? Well, you got to think about the criteria of the metrics that you're using to actually find inventory out there in the market. Where I'm located at in the 7 cities of Hampton Roads, what you're seeing is that there is not enough inventory on the market for the criteria that you're looking for. Depends on what it is. It may only be 13 to 15 homes on average that you're looking for each given week that may be swooped off the market before the whole weekend, because so many homes are actually not staying on the market beyond 14 days. Now, when this type of market is moving so fastly and so swiftly, you have to make the calculated decision. It's more important to actually do the purchase price up to the level that it needs to be and hope that the appraisal comes through and that the seller will not bark at any other offers and only take yours in. Therefore, if that is not the case, when you're dealing with 2 to 7 different offers actually coming in certain cases, you may have to make a decision that you may have to break bread with more cash. Well, let's talk about that for a second, because there may be a situation where it goes, okay, let's see where I'm actually at right now. I want to do a sale for basically, I want to get in on this play, but what I don't want to do is waste money where I don't need to. Okay, so let's bring this up and let's talk about it for just a second. Okay, what I want to do is show you what your alternatives could be. Okay, so what you're going to see here is that we're going to look at this in this spec. Okay, let's talk about your loan options. Okay, you got loan options here. And there are going to be obviously 3 different ones. You have your conventional, VA, FHA, okay? So it comes to your conventional, you can go anywhere between 3% to 20% down payment, okay? If it's a VA, you don't have to put no money down at all. If it's FHA, you got to put down a minimum of 3.5%. Now, with the VA, you don't get no PMI, okay? FHA, you got to pay a private mortgage insurance. Conventional, if you do less than 20%, you have to do PMI as well, okay? Now, let's say that you were going to put 20 down payment percentage. Let's do that. On a conventional, say you was going to do 20%. Right, but then you find out now there's a gap here that you was going to have to actually cover a bit. Now that 20% on a $400,000 purchase price, it's $400,000. Go and bring that down to, now that was $80,000 you was going to have to make an actual down payment on. That $80,000 now turns into where you can actually bring this down to about 18%, cover the cost between the appraised price and the actual purchase price. You probably need to go 17. Let's look at 17. Let's look at 17%, 0.017, 68,000. So instead, if you did alternative of 17%, 17% will actually take you down to $68,000 deposit. And then you will actually have $12,000 actually left over to actually close that gap between the $10,000. Okay. So here's your mark here that you actually have available. You actually have an alternative where you can come down 3%, take that back, you put that in, and now this will actually be your appraisal gap money here. Okay. Now, if you're on a VA loan, everyone more likely in a military town or a veteran town is going to have a VA loan. So if they have a VA loan, basically you're looking at that $390 being the purchase price. But then you're guaranteeing up to a level. Let's say your level was $10,000. Well, you're still closing that $400,000 gap. FHA, same thing. It's going to be the amount of money that you're going to be able to put down in wholeheartedness. Okay. So what I want you to think about here for a second is why this is important. The reason why the appraisal gap is something that you want to pay attention to, though, is because there may be an opportunity where you can actually break out either even, where you basically don't give up too much money at all, or you actually get a discount on a home and make your offer even more competitive. Well, how is that possible? Well, let's go back and let's remember what we actually have here. Okay, so we want to look at this again. When you're looking at your appraisal gap, you have actually the purchase price is 400,000. But when you're doing your clause on the appraisal gap, you can say as a buyer that I guarantee up to $5,000 cash above appraised value, which means if the purchase price was 400,000, but the actual appraisal came in at that same 390 that we've been discussing, remember that left you with a difference of $10,000. But what could happen is that new deal could look like this. Your purchase price is 390 because that's the agreed to amount based on the appraised amount, which is 390. So that leaves you zeroed out, right? With a cash guarantee of $5,000. Now, the previous deal was 400,000 plus closing that you was going to have to pay. But with that guarantee that the seller may have actually took with you up to 5,000 above the appraised value, you can actually get a new deal that looks at $395,000 plus closing as well. Now, the reason why I talk about this a bit here is because you need to understand what is really going out here in this new age market. There hasn't really been a time where the appraisal gap was a strategy that was actually taken to the situations on each one of the times that you're going to be into an offer that you had to deal with. Now, recently, when every offer that we put in has always been dealt with, coming with an appraisal gap of how much cash would you actually cover on the listing price and actually the agreed to purchase price. And that has become a commonality in the real estate market that we're in currently. So I advise you that you need to actually have a detailed realtor who is actually in the trenches of understanding how this appraisal gap situation works. Because essentially what it really comes down to, who has the more cash versus what the normal purchase price is going to be. Typically before, when I purchased a home in 2014, it came down to negotiation tactics. Who was actually going to put in an offer that was going to justify the price of the home and who's going to come close to the value that the buyer actually wanted, but the seller actually wanted. In the new situations that we're looking at, you're looking at where the seller understands the market, that they know that no matter where they list this price at, they think that the competition is going to push the price up, and they want to understand what is the cash guarantee no matter the situation. So this is where you get an advantage with people who actually want to go in and make an all cash offer. You can still agree to make the terms of the purchase deal, but you may have to give a little bit up extra as well to get the home that you actually want. Now, what is the downside to this? The downside to this could be that what we're currently seeing right now with the Federal Reserve actually still increasing real rates, we can still see mortgage rates increase over time, which can actually cripple the real estate market a bit here, where prices may come down a bit. Now, in my reality, I don't believe that we're going to see home prices come down too much more, but you could see a possibility where prices go flat, stagnant, and not increase 3-4% year over year like they have been recently. And in 2021, we've seen a major dramatic increase of 12% or more in a lot of areas. So that is one of the things that you have to be concerned about, is where will home prices actually be after you make this type of deal. Now, one of the things is, if you're in this for a 5 to 10 year plan, the price that you're paying today still does not equate to what the home value may be in 10 years plus time frame from now. So kind of understand the philosophy of what you're going to deal with. A good realtor that you know that has the type of investor mindset that you need to make sure that you're making a great deal, and then understand how much cash that you can actually put down. So you really want to work with your lender too, that you may have an availability of cash on the sidelines for the possibility of having to deal with the appraisal gap scenario. And if you found value in this content, definitely hit that like button. Go ahead and leave me questions or comments down below about what you think about when it comes to the appraisal gap and how hot this real estate market has been. And if you found value, like I said before, go ahead and subscribe to the channel too, and bang that notification bell so you can be notified each and every time I drop way more high content like this. It's been your boy Craig. Y'all stay safe. Peace.